Hi everyone, in today's video we're gonna go over useMemo hook, which is one of the more advanced hooks that we have in React. And the reason why this is one considered advanced is not because it is hard to implement, but because the use cases for it probably be found only in a situation where you are working with more advanced stuff. And the whole point of using this hook is to actually improve performance and be able to decrease latency on a huge computations that you make through your application. And the use cases for it, they are really little, in the sense that many people who are beginners or intermediates probably won't deal with this. And to be honest, I have never used the useMemo hook once, and the reason for that, I really didn't find the case to use it. But overall, it's something you need to know, or at least have some understanding in it. And before we start our video, if you wanna become a really good developer in React and have a good deep understanding in React, make sure to subscribe to not miss our videos. So here in our example we have just basic code set up to our application. I'm gonna walk you through it really quickly so you know exactly what we are doing. So we have in our application two pieces of state. The first one is a count state, which we can increment by clicking on this button, and the second one is a to-dos, which is we can add more to-dos when you click on this button, and have a function with doubles or number count. But this function is really slow. If you scroll down here, you can see I have a really long loop that just loops doing nothing for a really long time to emulate what would happen in a really slow running complex function. And if I click on this button to increment our count, you're gonna see it takes about a second to increment our count and double it. So this function is really slow to execute, but you may think that our code all in all is not that bad and the slowness is not really a big deal. But if you click add to do button, you're gonna notice we have the same delay. You can see it takes a half a second to a second to add another to-dos, and the reason for that, we update states in React, and it's going to render your entire component. So it's going to run this entire function component from top to bottom, which means that this slow function gets called every single time that we render our application, that our app component, whether we increment our count state or adding a new to do or other component is causing this component to re-render. You're going to be forcing it to go through that slow function over and over again. So React introduced useMemo to solve this issue. So the first thing to do here is you need to import it in React. And useMemo, it stands for memorization, which is the idea of caching or hiding a value, so you don't have to compute it every time. So here in our example, the slow function takes an input of a number, and it's always going to give us the same output every time we give the same input. So we can cache the input value number and the output it gives us, and that way, if the number doesn't change, we don't have to recalculate our slow function over and over again. An easy way to use this is we just call useMemo here. And we're going to pass it in a function. And this function is gonna be the thing that we memorize. So this is the thing we're caching, which our values going to be this slow function. We just need to make sure we return the slow function, enter the result from it, and then just like we talked about useEffect, for example, we are gonna have dependencies, and in our case dependency of this is going to be our count. And because the count is the only thing we changes, and when our number changes, we needed to return the code inside this useMemo hook. But if our count doesn't change, we don't need to return the slow function code over and over again. Click on this button, and you can see we have the same delay. But when we click add to do button, we're gonna notice that this is instantaneous. I can click it as much as I want, and That's because when we go through our code here, when we click add to do, it causes us to re-render. So it calls this function, does all this stuff, and it gets down to useMemo, and it says count state is exactly the same as it was the last time. So we're gonna recall this slow function here because I already have what the result is. It's the exact same. It's the exact same thing as it was last time. So we're saving ourselves for having to recalculate this number, which slows function, and we only forcing ourselves to do this when we actually update this number instead of our input here. So we are essentially only running this slow code when we have to add running it when we don't need to. If you guys like this video, please subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.